Attention. We now have control of your streaming device.
What is going on, everybody out there in podcast land? How you doing tonight?
Hello.
Hello, my darlings.
Hello.
Oh, hello. Happy
Cheers.
Tuesday. Welcome, Mama Q. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you. Sorry, I am just a little nervous. I'm hitting this and relaxing and ready for action. So thank you guys for having me.
Don't be nervous. I know, Monsta and I tend to have that response with some women, but nothing to worry about. We're all friends here. We're just here to chill, have a good time. What are you smoking?
Purple Punch. I'm a diehard on this, unfortunately. So
what do you mean, unfortunately? You hush your face.
I mean, it's just I wish I enjoyed another strain as much as this that I currently have. Right? What I've grown. This is my favorite so far out of everything that we grew. So there's lots of other weed that is in this house, but just doesn't compare to the Purple Punch.
Hey, high standards for a reason.
Yes.
Nah, Purple Punch is some good shit. It's half of Slurricane, so I'll
is it?
Yep.
Slurricane is really good too. And I forget, I think I've tried that at the dispensary, but it was not as fresh as it should have been. So I do not believe the terps were there, unfortunately.
You don't think that's just because it's purple weed?
Well, no, just dispo weed around here is by the time they harvest it, it's tested and sold. Like it could be a good 4 to 6 months by the time it's hitting the shelf, and depending on how it was stored, it just doesn't hit the same as homegrown. So one day I'll grow a Slurricane.
Have you grown Purple Punch multiple times? You keep going back to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And every single one is your top. Do they all hit along the same very impressive high level for you?
Yeah, it's just just the way it makes me feel. I like that indica feel because I'm such a chitter chatter and anxious and go. So that helps to bring me down. But it really has this grape drink. It reminds me of being a little kid, that grape soda almost. And that's what I love. So
grape drank, like that.
Grape
that
drank, yeah.
Nice.
Love
it. Crush. Give me the crush.
Love that stuff. Sure. I always laughed at that Sunny D commercial. Remember that one from the 90s? Because the kids were we got purple stuff. We got, and then I'm like, yo, give me the purple stuff. It looks good. I don't know what it is, but it looks nice. But hey, purple weed can sometimes be awesome.
And it's really not even that purple. Just the leaves turn purple. Is what it gets as it gets its fade in the fall. It gets this really neat purple. Do
you find that it when you grind it up, you get a surprise purple with the Purple Punch? At least some of the ones I grew, that's kind of how they were.
Occasionally, yeah, there'll be some littler ones on maybe some of the sugar leaves, but for the most part, unfortunately, when I was trimming it, a lot of that purple did come off. So it was a little bummer.
That is an interesting point, though. Like sometimes I imagine like the name and like the color purple being in a strain name refers to like the way it fades, the senescence at the end of the plant's life, not necessarily like the color of the buds when you break them up and stuff like that. So this might be a thing to ask your local breeder about.
I've seen some purple punches be a little bit more leaning towards the darker side. I guess just, phenotypical different, and it's been bred by so many different people as well. So you're going to find a lot of variance there, I believe.
Mhm.
Do you know who the breeder is of the one you have?
So the one that I have is from I am JB Love, and so he is a local breeder here in Oregon for me, and so he actually bred that. The
Nice.
cut for the summer before was just I got it like as a clone from the dispensary, and that one was still really good. I wouldn't know the genetics of who grew that or where the cut came from, but yeah. So this next year we're gonna run just the same genetics and do more purple punch.
Cool.
I want to grow some CBD strain. Still trying to decide on that. I realized when as I get older, I don't really like to. I guess feel super high in my brain is a great way to like feel like I want clear thoughts, but I kind of still want a little bit of something. So I find that the CBD is kind of a way to fix that, like smoking during the day if I need to smoke, but it's not affecting, my motivation for life. Because there's just sometimes when I hit that purple punch and I want to be in my bed with snacks watching TV, and I can't do that during the day when you're chasing littles and have stuff to do. So,
Darn life. Stuff to do.
I feel that,
adulthood.
I do. You want to be kind of high, but not like super high. I mean, I get it.
Yeah, just a little something.
CBD
Elevated,
makes a lot
but
of
not
sense. Yeah.
not high.
I do. I've yet to kind of draw that line. So I tend to just get like way too high, like way too early in the morning.
Yeah.
It's just like you'd think I'd have figured it out by now, but no.
I'm more along the lines of like, okay, time-wise, I have this much amount of time before I have to do this very important adult thing, and I have to be able to think clearly for it. So at what point before that do I need to smoke so that I'm at like the correct level? It's about scheduling.
Very much. Yes, that's the perfect way to describe like my smoking habits. That's it right there in a nutshell. It has to be scheduled. Everything is freaking scheduled.
And it's a little bit like microdosing. Yeah, Stoney, you're right. I see you out there. You got to microdose your weed.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
microdose your weed. Yes.
it's definitely tough. It's challenging. Like I mean, I think what's like the recommended serving size, like at a dispo, like on a packaged weed product. It's usually like way too low, you think, but I don't know, maybe we should start trying the recommended dosage.
I think it's like 10 milligrams. I think 10 milligrams, like that's what at least in the state of Oregon, we went from, we could serve like 50 milligram size packages to now 100 milligrams. So now each serving is 10 versus 5.
Gotcha.
So I guess that's considered a microdose.
I mean, does my like little dugout and one hitter count as a microdose? Because
not if you pack it 84 times.
Remember, I wish I had mine up here. I still use that like the oldest of old school smoking devices, like on the reg every day. It's like it's the perfect, looks like a cigarette. It's that like metal tube with like the wooden case that you like call it the dugout because you keep your weed like in the little other side, and then you like just kind of jam it in your metal pipe down in there. You get a little bit, like a little pinch, smoke that. It looks like a cigarette. Back in the day when you really had to worry about like any kind of possession crimes. I mean, when it was truly well and truly illegal, yeah, that was the perfect way to do it.
I still got arrested with one of those.
That's, I don't know if that's just unlucky or careless, G3.
Careless. It was careless.
That's so
I
funny,
own
dude.
that one. I own it. Yeah. But yes.
Hold
That's
on one
awesome.
sec. Hey, Allie, can you bring up my dugout and one hitter and my steamroller too, please? I want to show them.
Oh, show and tell time.
Dude, a
That's what we're talking
steamroller.
about.
Holy shit. I had one of those way back in the day. Man, those things hit hard. Like
Dude,
you just
I
put your
just
hand
got
over
one,
the end
yeah.
of it. Yeah.
Yep. It's like a you know, you feel like it's a like a peace pipe sort of thing, you know, like smoke 'em peace pipe. All upstairs, really?
Honey, I looked for them. I
It's in my
swear.
backpack, in the top front pocket, that wooden thing. You'll see it. Well,
I love
fuck.
it.
I don't know. I'll find it, you guys. But yeah, no, it's just like, it's funny how far we've come. You know, we show off all these cool smoking implements like the Dr. Dabber and all these cool things. But at the end of the day, like my daily driver is, you know, water bomb, a one hitter for when I'm out and about, out on the town. And yeah, it keeps the hits nice and small. I don't know, but they do get you like one hit will get you good. You feel it right behind the eyes. You know what I mean? That's because there's like no filtration. I don't know if you could find it, but
Brain.
so yeah, here. This is my tried
Yeah.
and true little, like, you see, it's
That's
just
awesome.
Yep.
a little. It's got like paint chipping off of it, man. Just you got to clean it every couple days. Throw it in just a big thing of like boiling water. Like put a pipe cleaner through it. But
That's awesome.
fucking
Sometimes the simplest things.
simplest things work the best. Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Oh yeah, and I keep forgetting where my camera is now. The Grav branded, what's it called? Steamroller.
Wow, I've never seen one that portable. That's fucking pretty cool. I was
Yeah,
thinking
dude.
much bigger, like
Much
toilet
bigger,
paper roll
usually.
style.
I've seen them very big. You're right. This is a nice one. It does have like the like little legs on it, so you can just kind of like pop it on a table, let it sit there
Oh,
while you
that's
pack
nice.
it. Yeah,
So it
it's-
doesn't roll.
Yep, it doesn't roll.
Nice.
Exactly.
That's cool.
So what
I did
are
that.
you smoking on tonight, G3 Monster?
I think this is Tangy Tibaguana.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure she is. Yeah, she is.
right on. She keeping you.
Yeah, I do.
You like
I do
her?
have to be careful with her. If I do too much, because I can get carried away with her. She's fun to smoke. She makes music beautiful. She makes people really fun to listen to. So she's a great show stream. But if I do too much, if I don't like restrain myself, then I start getting super anxious and like paranoid, but about myself. Like, like, oh my God, you're acting like a weirdo. Stop acting like a weirdo. And like,
I
do you know what?
definitely know what
I'm
you
a
mean.
weirdo. Like, I'm used to acting like a weirdo. And all of a sudden I'm like, dude, just stop. It's weird. And that's too much. So, but she's perfect right before I hit that point.
I feel that like your inner monologue starts to get like hijacked a little bit.
Yeah.
And it like makes you think really. I think it's just a sativa thing in general. Like it's probably an amnesia haze thing too. But man, yeah, you're right. You can get a little like, you just start to be like what? Why the fuck did you just say that? Like, you spaz. Like the person you're talking to probably thinks you're a psycho. You know, it's one of those types.
Yeah, she turns overthinking into like a competitive sport.
Mm.
So, you know, but literally right before then, she's so brilliant and amazing. And a lot of people probably wouldn't have to deal with this. I'm a anxious person to begin with. So she just pushes my threshold that much, I guess, lower. which,
Dang.
I mean, she's a narrow leaf. That's one of her things she does. So I
Right on.
certainly don't fault her for it, you know. I wouldn't say it's a negative. It's just one of her many beautiful characteristics.
I hear that. I mean, I'm smoking on her right now too.
Ah, sweet.
I had to grab her. Just
Had to grab
keeps you high, but not too high. But yeah, if you overindulge, it's more like up in your own head sort of thing.
Yeah.
And tends not to like really come out. But yeah, you just start to think like, man, everyone knows I'm super high right now. You know what I mean? Not that it matters on this show, but like that's always been the difference between drinking and smoking kind of thing.
Yeah.
For a lot of people is like when you're drunk, you think no one knows you're drunk. It's all gonna be good, but usually everyone knows you're drunk. Like it's very obvious. Whereas when you're high, you're up in your own head thinking like everyone knows I'm fucking stoned, but no one knows.
Yeah.
Till you see a picture of you sitting on the couch eating a sandwich, looking like this.
Kai, what are you talking
No
about?
one knew.
If I go
How
outside,
would they
they'll
know?
know. They'll all know.
No.
Yeah.
Not that it matters really anymore. I mean, like we've come so far in that way too. Like, I don't know. In most situations, like it doesn't fucking matter anymore. I go in like all red-eyed and just, if you know I'm high, then good on you.
Right. Like
I feel
legally
that.
I'm allowed to be high. So why am I so worried about it?
Yeah. The doctor prescribes this shit for me. So I mean, like it's
And it's not like this is my first rodeo. I've been doing this a little while. So
Well, if they know you're high, then they know what being high looks like. So they're probably smokers themselves. Hopefully,
true.
right?
Takes one to know one.
Takes one exactly.
exactly right, G3. And usually if you know if one is one who knows, they might ask you like, hey,
What'd
you
you
look pretty
smoke?
stoned. Like, I mean, where can
Yeah.
I grab something like that'll get me that high? I mean, you certainly weren't microdosing.
A lot of times it's the smell that gives it away. Like you walk in
Oh, yeah.
smelling like a fucking
Yeah.
pot farm, you know?
Yeah.
I can't even tell at all anymore if I smell like weed. I just can't. It's such an integrated smell in my life that unless I'm going from like a place where there's absolutely none of it into a place where it's pretty saturated, I just doesn't register.
But when you walk around, you're probably like, wow, I fucking smell weed, and it's really you the whole time. Is that kind of?
I mean, maybe. I can't recall ever walking through like Target and going like, something smells good.
Come to
That's
Massachusetts, you'll get those
What's with the
smells.
candles?
That's definitely happened. I mean, it happens more, I find, when like I've spent time like up in the garden with like live plants. You know what I mean? And then I'll like just be out in public, like catch a whiff of my sweatshirt or something, or
They're
I
sticky.
just feel like, man,
Yep, when you get those sticky trichomes on you,
yeah.
they really smell.
They do. They do.
They irritate my skin too. I don't know if you guys get that, but like,
No, that's normal
and-
with certain plants.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a
Yeah,
great
that's
solution for that
convenient.
because a lot of people get that too, and they have these sleeves and stuff like Farmer's Defense that cost like $50. So bicycle cyclists, people who like do this professionally, have arm like sleeves that have like partial gloves in them sometimes, and they go all the way up their arms and they can be pulled on and off really easily. And it's to give them like, you know, variability in their layering. So you just get the sleeves and you use them to cover like your arms when you're working, and even if it brushes up against you, it'll just be the cycling jersey stuff. It's not hot, breathes really well, dries super fast.
That's a
Machine
great
washable.
idea, actually, because
Yeah.
got this arm hair. It's a problem sometimes.
Yeah, this would be a perfect solution. You could just keep them like in the like side pocket or whatever in your tent and just pull them on like when you pull your grow glasses on, because you're all wearing your grow glasses in your tent, right? Right.
yes,
I just wear
Yes.
regular glasses.
Yeah.
I do. Mhm.
Yeah. Protect your
any
eyeballs.
old sunglasses will work, but you should definitely do that.
Yeah. So protect your arm hairs, protect your eyeballs.
I
That's a must.
couldn't agree more.
It's a must.
You're not my
Agree more.
mom.
Well,
All right. You can get your arm hairs all sticky if that's what you really
no,
want.
it's not like it doesn't
Definitely
come
not.
out either. Like, I mean, I've had to shave my arms because it just like I'm covered in trichome gunk, and there's no like, you know, what do? You've heard it. I've heard people if they get like gum in their hair, they use like peanut butter. Yeah, that doesn't work with trichome gunk and arm hair. So this has to all come off.
Alcohol.
Just all come off.
Alcohol and then like a lotion usually works pretty good because it helps pick it up. Like the alcohol will help strip it off, and then the lotion will help like get it off.
Mhm.
That's usually what I do.
I just went for the, you know, scorched earth method.
There you go.
Just shave it all. It all. But made me silky smooth, but man, it was a bitch growing back. I didn't like it. I don't know how swimmers do that shit.
I think they get it waxed.
Nair.
That's what I was like envisioning
Mhm.
was like 40-year-old virgin, just like, but like arm waxing.
Oh god,
down,
that scene where
just
they
like,
on the chest.
yeah,
Oh.
yeah. But just your arm hair, you know,
Ooh, that
getting
would
ripped
hurt.
off.
That would hurt. But
It sounds awesome.
no. We got to come up with like there's got to be some sort of salve that we can develop to get, you know, trichome.
I
gunk
wonder.
out of hair.
I happen to have a magic salve from Miss Barely Growing.
No,
I wonder if
Yes.
that would take off sticky trichomes. I'm going to try that next time I get trichomes in my hair.
Baby oil works pretty good too.
baby oil,
Baby
huh?
oil.
Yeah,
Baby
all right.
oil.
All right.
Mhm.
How do
I
you?
feel like
I mean,
baby
how do you
oil
know
is one of
that?
those things that you just once it's on ya or on something, it's never coming off. Just
Yeah.
accept that it
Imagine
has baby
Monster
oil on
has-
it
Glitter?
forever.
Has like a medicine cabinet full of baby oil jars. Lathers
Not
himself
quite.
up.
Yeah. That's on my OnlyFans, man. You got to subscribe to see that shit.
What's that movie with? It's like Year One or something like that with like Michael Cerna and the guy's like cover me in oil. It just always made me crack up. What a weird movie scene. Oh man. Well, speaking of you know, while we're talking to you, Monster, what are you smoking on tonight, dude? What you got?
I decided to whip up some pure Michigan rosin. So
Nice.
I took some of the trim and the popcorn I had laying around in the freezer, finally processed it, washed it, made some rosin.
Nice.
And it's definitely pure Michigan. It's kind of funny. My buddy said it smells almost like a kitchen sink. Like you get that like just rotten funk with like almost like a hint of detergent. It's kind of hard to describe, but it's tasty. I enjoy it.
It's tasty. That
like
is
it
the
too.
biggest.
I mean, it's not your typical like fruity tropical terps. It's not. And
Very true.
you know,
Mm.
you
I
gotta
think
have-
I'm gonna bring some. I think you'll enjoy it.
I think
Okay.
she will too. I think she
I'm-
will too.
I'm willing to try just about anything once.
It's one of those things you don't even realize, but I think you'll enjoy it. Like you got to get the description out of your head of like the, you know, funky, gross, nasty, dirty meat terps.
Okay, as a person who happens to love this plant and all aspects of it, I can't imagine that there are actually I mean, maybe there are. Like I think of cat piss, and I can't think I could ever smoke on that and go, yes, this is
You
awesome.
you could
This,
because it's
Maybe.
You definitely,
a good
could.
really good cat piss strain is awesome.
I'm
I mean, I
telling
don't think
you,
I'd ever turn down good, like well-grown, professional grade weed. You know, I would never say no. I'm not going to try that. I'm not going to smoke it because I think it might taste gross. Because at the end of the day, it's still the plant.
I've smoked some stuff called
Oh,
cheetah
yeah.
piss that was fire.
I've heard of that before. It's like a newer.
yeah, that's. I mean, I think
iteration.
it's. I think honestly, I don't know. In my opinion, you love meat terps, you love cat piss terps, you just don't know it yet. We gotta get you to recognize the fact.
I just don't know what I'm missing.
Just don't know it.
My father has a saying. When
Everybody
it comes to that
loves
stuff, like,
meat terps.
you don't know what's good for you. You know, we're gonna go with that on the meat terps.
That's right. We gotta. You just don't know what you don't know sometimes, you know, and it's.
If I am wrong and I fall in love with them, I will be the first to admit it. I just am extremely skeptical.
Okay.
So, are you the kind of person that likes? Do you like a stinky cheese, or yeah, you like stinky cheese?
Oh yes.
Then it
The
sounds like
better.
meat terps and that whole, you know, evolution of the terp profile sounds like it's right up your alley. If you can appreciate funky and complex aromas, then
Yes, but meat and cheese are two very different things.
I mean
They go
yes
together
and
like
no.
bread and fucking butter.
Yeah. Yes and no.
I just think
Yeah,
it's a world of terp profiles I have not dived into yet. My initial reaction is ew, but I'm up for having my mind changed.
Okay.
All right. Well,
Yeah, I'm
challenge
down.
accepted.
I
Send
think
your
that this is
meat
awesome.
terp submissions. Get sent to cultivation conversation at we'll set up a PO box for the G3 judges your meat terps competition.
God,
Just make
don't
sure
vote
you
me into that.
just make sure you put the last word on there. You don't want people sending dick pics.
Just terps in like really small font.
Yeah.
G3 judge your meat.
I am forwarding everything I get to you guys.
This has legs, you guys. I mean,
Awesome.
no. Would be kind of funny, honestly. I don't know. I think you would appreciate them if you really, you know, some people grew them well, and like when people say meat terps, cat piss terps, baby poop terps, all that stuff, we mean it in like the most endearing way, like in the best possible way that you could ever imagine those smells being. Like that's what we're imparting on the weed. I don't know. It's hard.
I don't
to
know how
describe.
you can get to a best possible place with cat piss.
Yeah, this.
I was more concerned about the baby poop.
smells.
Yeah, baby diapers. That's been a big theme lately.
Baby poop, like you guys
Banana
have
baby
not
diaper.
been around many babies, have you?
No, I can't say I have personally, but like, yeah, I mean,
changed a couple today that were not.
no,
very
you don't
fun.
want
Like,
that in your weed.
I
jar
wouldn't
at
want to
all?
smoke that.
Put that in your bong and smoke it.
Yeah,
You like, but at the same time, that's a strong terp. Like you open that
that's
jar,
a
people
very
will be
strong.
like, oh boy,
Strong and good are
what
not
did that
synonymous.
plant eat today?
Oh,
Yeah, no,
goodness
you're
gracious.
right. You're
I
right.
love that.
Strong and good are two different things, but
Mhm.
It's in the
I mean,
eye of the
honestly,
beholder.
It totally
I feel
is.
like we've probably smoked like weed with meat terps and all these other terps before. We just don't know it. I mean, I feel like I've been smoking for so long. I definitely smoked strains I never knew the name to. You know, it was just, does it have seeds in it or does it not have seeds in it? And how
I
much
didn't
for
even
an
start putting flavors to things I was smoking till a couple of years when I started growing, really.
yeah, right? Then you tried to learn and understand. There's so much to terps. I'm still trying to understand that.
We didn't know what we didn't know.
I know. And now I found the cheese, but now I'm interested in the meat. And so I'll have to go towards that. All I could think about was like pulled pork. If someone can find me a weed that smells like pulled pork, like I would be pretty happy.
That I'd be
that would be so. I
I
mean,
could do that.
honestly, I'm waiting for those kinds of strain names, like like Lloyd's pulled pork or
Southern
barbecue
barbecue.
brisket.
Yeah.
Just, I mean,
What's up, baked beans?
yeah, barbecue. Yeah,
Beans,
I mean, I
yeah.
don't think we're far out, honestly, because we're running out of fucking words. They're gonna have to start making up shit at this point.
I mean, if we have the cookies and the whole dessert thing, like why not just take the meat terp to like the next step of
Oh my God, because then we're gonna end up with meat cookies.
No, we could just call it like the barbecue,
Meat
barbecue joint or something, like just all the every strain will have something to do with barbecue. I don't know, that's what I'm thinking. Instead of
I'm here for
cookies,
it.
it'll be BBQ.
Oh
Coleslaw.
my gosh. Somebody, like a company, could kill it if they released an entire Thanksgiving dinner. Cranberry sauce and like a potatoes with gravy and turkey.
You're right. I mean,
Pumpkin pie.
Ooh.
See, I haven't seen a pumpkin pie strain. That's interesting.
I haven't
Thank
seen
fucking God
either.
for that.
It's got to be out
please.
there. Oh my God! Can you imagine when
Oh,
it
pumpkin
happens
spice weed.
every
Yeah.
fall?
W.
Dude, there'll be all the fucking morons in their fucking SUVs be pulling up at the drive-through to get their pumpkin spice fucking whatever.
This is my pumpkin
Go
spice auto femme.
fuck yourself.
I'll take an eighth of the
Oh.
pumpkin spice, please.
Yeah.
If that ever happens and somebody doesn't grow one in a Starbucks cup, I will die.
Oh. Yeah, they have to go together, absolutely. And like with their name misspelled wrong somewhere too, like on the side of the pot, please.
Love it.
Someone make
So
note
good.
of this. Is someone taking minutes of this meeting right now? I'm just
Yes.
checking.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
We need a plan of action. We gotta
Yes,
make this
exactly.
happen.
So
That's funny. But
Gosh,
yeah,
I'm hungry now. All this food
I
talk,
know, right?
man.
It always happens
like-
to me,
I want like a double and some French fries.
dude. After the last show,
Maybe a
I
milkshake?
went and got some beef jerky. Oh,
Ooh.
Beef jerky.
so good.
Beef jerky.
But yeah, meat terps,
Meat tubes.
great.
All comes
around.
back to the meat tarps. Full
It
circle.
does. I really,
Always.
yeah. I want a cheeseburger. Is there a cheeseburger strain out there?
There
Anybody
is.
got that?
Mhm.
Yeah,
All right.
there's like all sorts of burger strains. You wouldn't even believe it. Like, I think I've even heard of one like Han Solo burger or something like
Ooh.
that. I mean,
I would like to get into some
oh no.
Star Wars strains. That would be fun.
I don't know what the crossover is. What makes it? There's meat terps, but there's also
Star Wars.
Star Wars terps,
Star
like
Wars.
human meat terps. Is that where we're headed with
Soylent
this?
Green. Mm.
It's a burger made from Han Solo. What? This happened.
Before or after carbonite? Does that change the flavor?
It's a
It
great
might.
question. I hear the Simpsons character right now. Actually, the carbonite wouldn't have changed the meat terp profile at all because it doesn't. I don't know. Could just hear him saying it.
Not your best impression.
No.
I think you can do better next time.
Nah, I'm sorry.
Something to practice on.
You need to get like the nasally down,
For sure.
I wanted, like, now that we've been just like bullshitting for 40 minutes, I kind of want to get into like why I wanted Mama to come onto the show.
Yeah.
Nice.
So if anybody isn't aware, she is one of my dearest friends in the entire world and the most stellar, high quality human. She's spectacular. And we met originally because she is an amazing grower of this beautiful plant we all love. And we clicked. We're both moms. We both grow. It's just great. She totally vibes. And recently, this amazing babe has made a hop, skip, and a jump into a new journey with mushrooms, both gourmet and medicinal. So I really wanted her to come on and kind of explain why and how she started that journey and show really how accessible it is to anybody and everybody. I thought it was going to be a really difficult task, and I've just kind of been following what she's been doing, and it's way easier than I thought it would be. So, babe,
Well,
tell
thank
us
you.
about yourself.
Okay. Well, gosh, sorry. Okay, so I'm Britt or Mama Q or Mama Wanna Q on Instagram. Started growing cannabis. Like I started 2 years ago, although I've been a lover of it and smoked cannabis for way too long. So that's been wonderful. Oh yes, there we go. Yeah.
There you
Um,
are.
so yeah, cannabis, mushrooms, veggies. Um, so house plants, like I don't even share that on there. I just like to grow. So started out with cannabis, right? That was seemed scary to me even, and a lot. I mean, you get on the internet, there's millions of different recipes, living soil, hydroponic, just everything and in between, and trying to find a style and what I liked, and really gravitated towards living soil. And that has been really fun to learn. And part of living soil was also learning about mycorrhizae and mycelium. And when I went down that route, then I was learning also about psilocybin and microdosing, and really wanted to figure out a way where I could learn myself, share it with others, and hopefully make it accessible and educate others. Because even learning about growing mushrooms can be overwhelming, and the supplies, and you see people sterilize and laminar flow hood and lab, and it can just seem overwhelming, anything when you're taking on a new hobby. And so yeah, I don't know, just growing mushrooms seems like the thing to do. And also when you have ADHD, like I guess sometimes you feel like you can do it all. And so what I did was I just was like, this is what I'm going to do. And so I did it. And I'm really glad, like, I can't even tell you how interesting growing mushrooms is. And then learning about how I can still incorporate it into like all my cannabis beds and my soil. So, I started out growing some PE, some wonderful magic medicinal mushrooms. And when that block was spent,
What is slow down? What's PE for
okay,
the
so
uninitiated? Physical
that's a,
education? Are we talking about
yes.
gym class?
So that is the mushroom strain. So penis envy is the mushroom strain.
Okay.
So good old penis envy. So I originally got that as a fruiting block and grew it. I grew 2 different flushes from it. And the third flush, just nothing was happening. It was actually getting what's called trichoderma, and this green looking mold. And so I took it outside and bagged it up and left it out there until I was ready to go stick it in my soil in the big tent out in the garage. And I just essentially dug little holes and broke it off and took that spent mycelium block and added it to my bags of soil to help bring some life to that. So, and then I grew little teeny tiny penis envy mushrooms out of those soil. I was really surprised, but I did. I got, I think, like 6 little tiny mushrooms total that grew. So yeah, it was really neat to just see that life, I guess, still grow, because you could see like the little bits of like barley grain that would be like inoculated with mycelium. You could see it in the soil there. And the next thing you know, you'd come back and there'd be like little mushrooms pinning, and then a little tiny mushroom would grow. So it's really neat to see the evolution.
I'm trying to find
right there in my bag
on your
I did
IG page. Wait, I think
oh
I
yeah,
got it.
so this right here is this was the PE mushroom fruiting block that I had received, and that's my first harvest there. That mushroom was so huge. That was 139 grams, I think is what it was.
Wow.
Man, you calling that tiny?
It
Good Lord, you got high standards for penis envy.
was really, that was a really nice harvest. That really, truly was. I mean, it's hard to know because that was legit my first mushroom harvest. So yes, my standards are pretty high now. Like,
Nice.
I've seen people break the 300 club. So like, that's my goals right there. I'm aiming to like double that. So I did break like all together, 440 grams is what I
That's awesome.
totaled from. But that's fresh weight. So once those dry, you're looking at maybe 10% of what you get back, which is still like, 44 grams of mushrooms is still a lot of mushrooms. Like you're not eating that all in one sitting. So
For
um
sure.
that was a lot of fun. So right now I've got a couple different things going. I've got lion's mane in the tent right now with all of the cannabis plants going. I just went through another blue oyster mushroom block, so I'm going to chop that up and put it in my soil too in there so that it'll help maybe speed up some of my other companion plants that I have going in the cannabis garden. And
Now
then I have,
that sounds really interesting to me, like the incorporating the mushroom compost into the soil. I definitely. I mean, do you have anything on your IG about that I could click on and have you talk about it a little bit while we show?
let me see. I think if anything, there was just like, if you go to my companion, I think I did like a video on companion plants and you'll see just like a little mushroom in there.
Is that like
But
towards the
essentially that's
top here?
kind of, yeah. Should just say like companion planting.
You got so
So,
much good stuff.
oh, right
There it is,
there.
up there.
Here's,
Up. Wait,
here,
this.
There.
here's your sign to add companion plants. Well, that's a good one too. That was the whole vibe. I couldn't get that song out of my head for like a good
What are you
couple of
singing?
weeks.
I gotta know. Hold on.
There you go.
Yes. Love
Oh
it.
man, she's got talent.
And then like right there, I'm singing, great water in my mouth, and the light above me.
That's great. That's great.
Oh,
So it was a
man.
different one though.
That
A
one,
different
yeah. See the one that says companion plants next to
I
the
do.
Death Before Decaf from
Cool.
Blurs.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Might as well just play it. Why not? Wow, that's cool. It's not just clover we're talking about, like a lot of different types of stuff. Wow.
Yeah, there's one of the little mushies.
Yeah, a little mushroom. Is that a penis envy mushroom?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's fucking rad.
It's been
badass.
This has probably been like my favorite run to do. So so just literally like when you show the video there of my mushroom block and the whole progression that I did from getting it to harvesting it, that block just would no longer produce any more mushrooms. So that block basically, it probably fed through the substrate. Honestly, I probably could have soaked it overnight. There was much more things that now I know in my mushroom journey that I could have done on that block to possibly get a third flush from it, but it was no longer going. So this one here, this is a blue oyster. This one I actually finally soaked, let it rest, sprayed, and it gave me more mushrooms.
Wow.
So sometimes just patience, but once this block here is done and it's not producing any more mushrooms, this is essentially just going to get broken up into little pieces. I'm going to dig little tiny holes, no till, just kind of try to move some stuff around and put that into the soil there. And then whatever life is still left in there will hopefully spread out to any of the plant's roots. And who knows, I might get some more mushrooms from my garden bed. So
these mushrooms are in your tent. Are they in with all of your other plants as well, or is it just mushrooms in there? So it doesn't really, the environment doesn't have to be as dark as I originally thought it had to be. Like I thought mushrooms had to be in the dark, but this is a tent with a light in it.
Bright light.
It goes
They need
on.
They need a little bit of light.
But that much light, like a cannabis tent's worth of light, that's a lot of light.
It is a lot of light.
Tell me about their light requirements.
So when you are going through your inoculation period on your mushroom, so this is whether you're inoculating grain to make a grain spawn, to then you would add to like a bulk substrate, or once you have your bulk substrate already made, you essentially want a dark period of time. You want that mycelium to colonize. During this time, you want maybe some warmer temperatures, like 75 82 degrees. Once everything is fully colonized, they'll begin to pin. So they'll be like these little teeny tiny mushrooms, essentially, is what they are. At this stage, then you would introduce oxygen, so fresh air, light. Light really is only needed to direct, to tell the mushrooms which way to grow, essentially.
Gotcha.
So in my tent here, I have, big 10 by 5 tent. In between my lights, I kind of have them moved over to the corners so that I have the plants kind of surrounded more around those. So in between my tent here, there's kind of a little less light. I put a rack there. I put something on the top to also kind of shield some more light. And then actually what I do is I put like a plastic tub top essentially like in front of that. And I have my humidifier kind of directing some more moisture towards my mushrooms. And I'm also kind of shielding it from, some of the light. So I do kind of have it set up. I've seen people where they have what's called a Martha tent, which is what they call mushroom tents. They still are calling them Martha tents, but it's a mushroom tent, and they have those set up inside a tent, and that is kind of like a little mini, environment or ecosystem for them too within.
Tent in a tent.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's cool.
If that's something you really want. I mean,
yeah.
For me, that didn't make sense when I had all these other things, and I just kind of have it blocked, and they seem happy, and they're getting the right humidity, the right temperature, and so. And
how does that differ from, like, how would the environmental parameters differ? Like, are they relatively the same? Like in veg, would they pair better with, plants in veg or plants in flower?
I think that they would probably pair better with plants during flower. Or if you are, I'm doing in veg, but like I said, I'm having the light, it's kind of shielded from some of the light too, so it's not overdoing itself. And that could be why though too, like I only got 2 flushes, it was going through the bulk substrate a little bit faster because maybe the lights were on more, so it's working a little bit harder, so there might be different parameters there when you're looking at growing during veg. Typically the light cycle that they like is 12 on, 12 off to kind of mimic like the autumn fall season. That's really when mushrooms, that's when you'd be finding them. So
gotcha.
But I'm a rebel and I want to try things my way. And this is what I have going. Yeah. So I'm going to kind of push it and test it out. So far it's okay. My cannabis plants have reacted, fine to everything. It's been like 75 degrees for them. Sometimes it could be, 60 degrees humidity, not as much as like what is behind the little lid there, but I do wish that, there are times when I'm like, man, I want it even hotter because I know these cannabis plants can like take it, I want to give them a little bit of stress. That's why I kind of go in there and like knock them around, because right, stress and induces terps, right? So I want them a little tiny bit of heat, but once I'm done growing these mushrooms, maybe I'll give them a little break and give them a couple days of like some good heat. But it's cold here. I already had to replace the heater. It went out and the tent was down to 50 degrees. So it was pretty. I felt so bad. I went in there and one of my plants was just like, "You're mean," and my mushrooms did not grow at all. And temperature can definitely affect everything. So
sure. Now, do the mushrooms give off like CO2 or anything like cool like that?
Yeah, so that's the whole reason why I wanted to grow them in the same tent. So you have cannabis that essentially absorbs light, they release oxygen, mushrooms are going to absorb that oxygen and they're going to release CO2, and then your plants are going to absorb the CO2, light, oxygen. It's a whole cycle of goodness. And so they really have a beneficial mutualistic relationship when you grow it in the same tent like that. So the only thing is essentially, spores are messy. Like it's gonna get messy in there when you're growing them. And I didn't even realize like how messy it was in the tent because it's, you know, this kind of silvery backdrop. But the other day I had harvested some mushrooms, set it on a plate, put it on my counter, and totally forgot about it. And I passed out. In the morning I wake up and it was just this white, like it looked like snow or powder just all over my counter. And then on the plate there was all this cool mycelium that was
Oh,
growing.
no shit.
That's the picture if you go up.
Yeah, I think I saw
Kind of
that.
looks like
All the
snowflakes.
way up.
And that
This
was
stuff.
just, yeah, right there.
Yeah.
I thought
So
that was
was
definitely snow, or I thought it was pollen. I mean, it looks a lot like pollen.
yeah, so the little lines there, that's essentially the gills, like the formation or the outline of the gills there, and then all the white is the spores, and then
Wow.
this would be you know, some fungal hyphae and a little bit of mycelium growing there. So that
So
was just on the plate overnight.
That's on a plate. That's the surface
Uh-huh.
that it's growing on there. That's awesome.
and that'll like start growing on like the walls of your tent too.
Well, I don't know. No, that wouldn't grow, but the spores would drop like this. All this mycelium and the fungal hyphae that's actually where the mushroom itself was growing. So
Oh,
mushrooms they can actually have the ability a mushroom can turn back into mycelium. So if it's starting to form,
interesting. That's like a hibernation phase or
it,
something. All
it's
right.
so neat. So it was actually just starting to grow new mushrooms right here underneath
Ah.
the mushroom.
But now, when you said spores, though, you do mean that, like it does kind of resemble pollen, right, from a plant.
Yeah,
Like it's like a powdery substance that like does
Mhm.
cover kind of everything in the tent, right?
Yeah,
No.
so you obviously want a really good filtration system.
Oh yeah,
Just,
for
you
sure.
know,
Now I
suck
wonder
that
if
out.
there's any risk at all of like some like mushroom cannabis hybrid being created, like a chimera of sorts.
A sweet little
Like,
plant there.
yeah,
That's
Oh,
an island of Dr. Moreau in your tent, you know,
That'd be pretty
like
sweet.
a cure-all.
right?
Literally.
It would have like the greatest medical benefits, right? It'd be very cool.
So
Like,
so
smoke
cool.
this, it makes you hot, like,
Ooh.
relax you, but you start to trip a little bit too. It's the craziest thing.
You feel great. It'll balance your mental health. You'll be in a good mood. Your temper will be much better. Just everything. It'd be amazing.
Craziest thing. Now
Somebody needs
that's
to work on that.
super interesting. So like, I see, the symbiosis you're mentioning, like there's CO2 is a benefit. Like there's also, I mean, just having that in your soil, does that benefit the plant's roots at all? Like, is there like a mycelium type relationship with certain other types of fungi? Like, does it help break down nutrients for the plants, that kind of thing? I'm just thinking out loud.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So that mycelium would have traveled to any of the plant's roots there that I put in there. So I like what I had in there was clover, tomatoes, peppers, calendula, basil, all of those things are in my pots. And so essentially when I broke up all those little mycelium chunks or that block there, that is all mycelium. So I'm just putting more like live active mycelium into my soil there. So that really, I think, helped take all my plants really off, because there was a period where it was really cold in there, even like 68 degrees. I couldn't get it, warmer than that. And my plants were very happy. They looked like I had been giving them nutrients, even though everything was already in the soil and I'm just giving them water. So,
Wow.
and then, to actually get mushrooms growing in soil that I never even sterilized, this is substrate that is not sterilized. I don't know what fungi, what bacteria, what other things are in there. And that mycelium was so strong, it went in there and it grew its own mushrooms. It was just like, I'm a penis MB and I'm here. That's what it did. So
What up, bitches? Peace in town.
yeah.
Had that big P energy.
Yeah, big dick energy.
Big PE energy. Something like that. I don't know. But just gets into the party of fungus in the soil, and they're like, yeah, like I'm the boss now. I'm the dominant strain, right? But like, how did you know that? How did like that? Because wouldn't you worry a little bit? Like, I mean, if there's some contaminant, it's growing like an angel of death, and not the penis envy.
Well, okay, so I
mushroom.
did have other random mushrooms growing in my soil at the same time that did not look like the penis envy. But I also chalk that up to like my compost that I had gotten. I was about 4 weeks post mixing everything that there was, death and decay happening in my soil, and whatever spores were in that compost at that time, I gave it the perfect environment and it happened to pop up as well. So definitely I did question some other mushrooms, but their cycle of like rate was much faster than the penis envy. Like literally I would go in the morning, I'd see this little mushroom, and I would come back in the evening and it had already like released its like veil pop, spores released, and it was already like dead and gone and not returning. So
wow.
Whereas like the penis envy, you could see it's sticking to like the little, I believe it was like a rye grain is what it was that they used. So you can see the little rye grain kind of still sticking out of the soil there with like the little mushroom kind of attached to it, growing from it. So then I knew it was still from that bulk substrate that I put in there. But you never know. Like I'm crazy that I'm like, oh, that's gotta be penis envy. I'm gonna pick this and dry it and eat that later. So, I mean.
We don't recommend anybody eating random mushrooms from your soil.
And, if you know kind of how to identify, there's certain things you're looking for.
Very much looked like what I grew already. So yes, I definitely don't recommend that. So, and you can, if you look up, strains and things like that, you'll be able to always look up your mushrooms, even if you buy spores or mushrooms from other people. Look them up, so can't hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure.
Reddit has an amazing mushroom identification community.
Oh my gosh, yes. I love that community. They're so nice.
Yeah.
I was kind of nervous to like join, any type of community because I'm such a noob still and it's still just a hobby, but it's always nerve-wracking joining, but the education and really they don't gatekeep at all. I mean, they share everything. I mean, even YouTube, gosh, I picked up so much stuff and found those people on Instagram and watching what they're doing. And it's just been really neat. Obviously, I'm doing things a little bit differently and not growing mushrooms the way they probably should be grown, perhaps. But
no, I think
there's a lot of different ways to get the job done.
Yeah. And it's cool that you're like combining, the cannabis with the mushrooms. I mean, I don't know if I usually see people doing one or the other, and yeah, I mean, I've never thought to like do it even in the same space.
Well, because again, you look and everybody's got this set temperature, and I mean, I gave a block. I gave an extra. I had another blue oyster fruiting block that I gave to my best friend. She put it in a room, a few feet from a window. She grew a whole bunch of blue oyster mushrooms, sprayed it one time a day, and ate them for dinner. So, I mean, there are ways, and there are certain mushrooms that you can grow that easily, and obviously, if you buy a fruiting block, you've bypassed all the hard work, and you get to reap the benefits by introducing light and oxygen and fruiting that. So. That's always the easy way to do it. Yeah. If you can get a fruiting block, that's the way I suggest doing it. Get a fruiting block, skip the rest of the stuff. You can learn all the other parts.
No.
Like just enjoy fruiting the mushroom and watching it grow. I mean, that part will just blow your mind, and then you'll want to learn all the rest of it.
You say you're talking to like a noob here myself. I've never done it, and probably most people in the audience are like. So a fruiting block is how many steps into the process already are you? And that's kind of like a mother plant. Am I getting it
It's
right?
ready to rock, basically.
Yeah. So
Yeah, but I mean,
essentially,
you have to
are.
like, I don't know.
Yeah,
You
you're
tell
like
me.
step 7. You're like, and like literally, it would be like someone handing you a cannabis plant that you're gonna go put into, your sorry, oh my gosh,
It's like that would
am I
be like
saying my
your
fruiting
mom,
cycle,
right? Like
my
your
flower
mom plant.
cycle.
If I'm doing my
No,
analogy
you
right.
would well, I mean, yeah, it would be like, I mean, that is a mycelium block there that is gone through all the hard work. It's developed so far that basically if you tried to like bring in bacteria or other molds, it's gonna fight to the
Gotcha. Well then,
fullest and,
so
and,
like
and
you could take a
possibly
little,
win.
you could take a cutting of that right off the block, put it into like a pot of soil or something, and then
And hopefully
question mark, then mushrooms.
yes. So after, and I wouldn't do that first. I would do that after you fruited your mushrooms. So you're going
Okay.
to get this beautiful block of like, it's going to be white covered mycelium. Or if you get shiitakes, I got my shiitakes, it was like partially brown. And I was like, what is wrong with my block? Like, is it already contaminated? And that's actually just how it like the browner, the better, I guess, So it's just more of those that mycelium is growing. And I guess the darker it is, the better. So like mine, I got my blue oyster fruiting block. It was completely white. Essentially all the steps of like they created the grain spawn, they created a bulk substrate, they inoculated that bulk substrate. You've got to all the parts where there should be no contamination whatsoever. You are now at the point where you can cut open the bag, put it on your shelf, give it oxygen, spray it with some water occasionally, and within a week or so, you're going to get some mushrooms developing.
Badass.
I mean, it's that easy to where you can just enjoy, the fruits of your labor, so to speak, right away. But yes, essentially it would be like, someone handing you a cannabis plant and you put it into flower but you have hopefully no issues with it in flower. Like it's just ready to go. There's no deficiencies. It's just you are going to enjoy that flower there soon. You're going to harvest it, dry it, and smoke it. So that's essentially what this fruiting block is.
Now, I mean, can you buy that somewhere? Is that how, I mean, or do you have to buy the spores with a substrate and like do the whole process? Like, how did you get into it?
So I had someone send me a fruiting block. So the first fruiting block was the penis MV. So those are going to be a little bit harder to come by, just because of
Gotcha.
good old politics.
Good old laws and such. But hey,
yes. So so I got a fruiting block, so that made it easier. That gave me a little bit more confidence where I could, I guess trust myself to want to take it a step further. Now, if you want to go beyond just buying a fruiting block, and now you can go buy gourmet fruiting blocks and even other medicinal mushrooms like lion's mane, reishi mushrooms, those things. There's North Spore is one of them. There's Midwest Growers, I believe. There's actually a lot of different mushroom growers out there that are offering these fruiting block options.
Yeah, and those you can certainly, there's no laws prohibiting you from growing shiitakes or blue oysters or anything like that. And
absolutely not. Yeah.
Get
and Mama does have a code for North Spore. So if you would like to share that with us, we would love to know what it is.
That's cool. Yeah.
Good old Mama Q. So
and that's
Mama Q.
Northspore.com. Is that the website?
Yeah, North Spore. Yeah, they're awesome. I mean, they have all sorts of kits. They even have mono tubs if you want to take it a step further. Yeah. So that's what I want to do. This next step is I've never inoculated grain before. So I've bought grain spawn. I've had fruiting blocks given, or, I've done fruiting blocks. Yes. North Spore right there.
North Spore.
You definitely have to do the shiitakes. Shiitakes are so much fun. They're delicious. I grub down on them in some spaghetti. They are fun to grow. Like you put them in your fridge, you give them this cold period, you soak them, you give them a little slap like you're mimicking the tree falling down on them, just all the steps. And they grew some beautiful mushrooms. And that I actually am going to be putting out in my big garden bed for the summer. And I hope that I get some shiitake mushrooms in the soil this summer. So
that's really cool. All right, here's the fruiting.
Yeah, the shiitake.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Wow.
Rishi's is what I want to grow next. Lion's mane is what I'm currently growing.
Wow. Look at
and
all
honestly,
the colors.
they're beautiful and they're delicious. Like, why not grow something that you can then eat later on?
Right?
And I've seen so many people, spend money on like adding CO2, these other things that add CO2. And it's like, this is kind of like the same amount of money. And then later on you get to eat it. I mean, I can't say perhaps like how much CO2 like these are giving off because I don't have, a CO2 reader in my tent, but I just feel like, it's so beneficial in many ways.
But I mean, isn't it kind of the same as those CO2 bags that have like
and how much CO2 are they really giving off? I mean,
and they don't taste good.
You can't eat those, but
them.
Is that a personal experience, G3?
It's from a friend.
The old forefront line.
Yep.
Reishi.
Yeah, Reishi. These are actually cool. So they get horns like this is what it's called. And then if you continue to fruit them longer or change up their fruiting conditions, they'll grow like these almost like turkey tail style.
They look like candy corn. That's really
These
weird.
things have some serious business, like spiritual,
honestly,
medical effects to them. Like
this
Reishi
picture
is next level.
looks like I found an old Halloween jar of candy corn from like when I was probably 13. That's pretty much what it looked like.
It's fucking brutal.
It looks like coral to me.
It does. It does. It has a sea anemone kind of creature look to it, or very interesting though. I know. Wow, look at those.
Pretty cool. They taste really woody too because of their substrate. They like really hard wood to feed off of, and so hence they get that woody look almost. Kind of like the rings on the tree there growing, and they're really cool. I'm excited to do them next. I just have so many mushrooms I want to grow. It's like there's just not enough.
Right? So it becomes like, it becomes like growing cannabis where you're like, gotta grow this strain, try that one. And that's cool. Very cool.
It gets to the point where it's like, okay, now I need to look and see like, okay, I only have so much space to grow or so much time to grow. Like, what terps do I like? What, cannabis strain do I like? What do I want to grow? Then mushrooms, like, what do you want to grow over here? How much time do you want to put into this? Because all of it, cannabis has certain steps that you go through. Mushrooms have certain steps that you go through. They have a different life cycle. And so, and when you're doing two things at once, you can really feel kind of like, you are not organized and have stuff written down, you can really feel it later. So
just playing devil's advocate here, there is one thing I wonder about. Like, obviously you don't have to worry about this because you're not a commercial cultivator, but what about like the spores themselves getting into the product, and maybe you'd fail like microbial testing based on that, even though it's completely like basically harmless. I wonder if there's a correlation there between, having the mushrooms in the same tent as the cannabis. And I'm not advocating for one way or the other. Like I said, I'm literally just playing devil's advocate here, just kind of wondering what the...
I remember hearing one of our guests, a commercial cultivator, saying that they had to be very careful with even mycorrhizal fungi type products, and they couldn't get it around the flower because it would fail microbial testing. I mean, it's essentially fungus. And when you're doing, I don't know how the test would differentiate between,
It wouldn't.
It wouldn't.
this type of fungus good, this type of fungus bad. It's just it
simply
red light
wouldn't.
fungus.
It would have to be different facility. Luckily, we're 10 pirates, and we don't give a damn about that.
That's exactly right. I mean, but it is a concern. Like if they're, if someone's out there running a, listen, there are people listening to us who run commercial facilities. Just think carefully before you, fill.
Don't grow mushrooms in your
fill your commercial room with mushrooms. But if you,
generally speaking, I don't think they'd be allowed to anyway.
Yeah, right.
I think that, if you're growing commercially, I mean, if you're wanting to grow mushrooms to sell and cannabis to sell, like, I don't think that there would be a way to do that together. But if you're wanting to help, the soil, I think I've seen a lot of people do like mushroom compost, and then you can like top dress essentially with that compost, maybe before you go into flower. But we're all kind of walking around with spores on us all the time. I did not even realize like how much spores that just was released from just like a few mushrooms, and so think about you walked into a restaurant, and there's spores, and then you go home and you go into your tent before you change, all these things are really just in the air around us. And now I see why, when they talk about best practices with growing mushrooms and using isopropyl alcohol and cleaning everything, it really, I saw that and it drove it home really hard, because it's like I could be walking around with mold spores on me and I don't even know it, and I go in there and I'm touching my mushrooms, and next thing you know, I'm ruining everything I just worked so hard on. So, pretty crazy.
I would imagine you want to, take shower before you go up in your mushroom tent every time. I mean, is it?
I try to, if I do, I try to take a shower, then go in there and get like all my stuff done. But there are some times where that just doesn't happen. And maybe I'll do a quick change of clothes, throw my hair up, wash my hands really good. I have hand sanitizer in there before I handle like anything with my mushrooms, just to kind of continue best practices with that. But then I have a whole other system of what I do, like, when I am now mixing, the grain spawn and actually touching mycelium that can, become contaminated. And then you contaminate that, there is just like no coming back. It's just bye, you're gone, and that's it. So,
do you know what that kind of makes me think of? Those AC Infinity tents that have two separate compartments for each other, and one is like much narrower than the other and about the size of a shelf, and the other side is a standard grow tent. Like that seems like a no-brainer canna shroomy twofer.
Yes.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Like if you could set it up for like cuttings or clones, you could certainly set it up for mushrooms, especially
with like a low wattage bulb on the shroom side, and then just your standard canna grow practice on the other side.
Honestly, I mean, even if you have the divider up, you could probably just crack it down, just let that light in. I mean, I think that they need like less than 150 watts or something like
wow.
That. Like they could be really low on the light spectrum there. So I've even seen people use like rope lights to grow mushrooms.
Allegedly, back in high school, we used the desk lamp. It doesn't take much.
Wow.
Yeah.
I heard of people growing mushrooms under their bed. So like, I mean, there's definitely ways to grow mushrooms.
I had a buddy who had like terrariums, basically. It was, like fish tanks that he would do it in. It did have, he did have to be careful about contamination and stuff, but sounds to me like it wasn't.
It's really all in the prep. Basically, once you get inoculated with the good shit and you see that taking off, you're good.
Yeah, and it depends on your strain too, right? Just like cannabis, you're gonna have some strains that are gonna do better than others. Like for example, in the video, my reel of the penis envy, that one mushroom, was just one flush essentially, and so that strain, I wish I would have taken a spore print of that, But that genetics of that strain would have been amazing to have and to cultivate and pass on, because there was no other mushroom that was that big, you know. And then essentially, yeah, then that one's strong. You could cultivate that and go on, and it would fight, you know, bacteria and other fungi or other mold spores. It would be able to, you know, grow and colonize faster. But unfortunately, you know, it's still so new, and I don't want to get ahead of myself too much, but yeah, that would be a great option right there.
Get one of these tents, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about. There's two
It's
in
the
ones.
Canna Shoomy Twofer. Yes,
Because
absolutely.
you could put up, you know, the little block there, leave it dark, colonize your substrate. Then when you're ready to introduce light, kind of crack it down, you know, put your filter, depending on what you have. If you got a filter on your mono tub, if you're doing bags, you can cut a hole in the bag. You can drop the little thing down, introduce light, fresh oxygen, and boom, you get some mushrooms growing.
Now I'm
and you
thinking,
got air filtration all the way through. You
Mhm.
can keep each side, you know, different humidity levels. You can keep each side different light levels.
yeah, but and
That's
you'd
brilliant.
probably want to like exhaust, like you do like a throughput from the mushroom side into the cannabis side, so you could utilize whatever
I would
CO2
get
they're
that
giving
too.
off.
CO2.
But at the
Mhm.
same time, maybe, you know, if you're worried about those spores getting on things, and
How does it? I know this
And
is a
any-
very strange question. Anybody
You
know
could
how
HEPA scrub
heavy
it.
CO2 is?
yeah,
Does it
exactly,
drop?
like a filter.
Yeah, it'll
CO2
actually
drops.
Yes,
CO2
it
does
heavier
drop.
than air. Yeah,
So then maybe open up the bottom of the
Or
tent and let the
oxygen.
CO2 drop to the bottom and move to the other side.
That would be a great idea. You could even probably have like some type of fan, you know, nearby that
Yeah.
side that's kind of helping to pull it out
Mhm.
too. These
That's
are all
super
really
cool.
great
Yeah,
options.
so you get all the, you know, get the benefits without the disadvantages. You don't want any risk of a mushroom cannabis hybrid growing in your tent, unless you're prepared for such things.
Absolutely. But that's
yeah,
perfect. That's like the great. Well, I have that tent, so I'll be pulling that back in
no,
during the summer
that's
and
definitely cool.
Yeah.
busting that out, because once it hits 90 plus degrees outside, I don't think I'll be growing any mushrooms out in the garage. So,
Cool.
yeah.
What is their temperature requirements? Do you know off the top of your head?
Well, you have some wood-loving fungi, you know, like your lion's mane, that kind of like it to be a little bit cooler. They're okay with it being 60 to 70 degrees. And then your oyster mushrooms, they're a soft wood-loving mushroom. They don't mind it being a little bit warmer, so you can get all the way up to 75 degrees and be okay with it. But again, you have to keep that humidity, because they are made of 90% water.
Oh.
So if you're not spraying them or keeping some type of humidity on them, they just won't grow, or you're going to get some shriveled up
Aren't we
mushrooms.
like 90% water too?
70.
Pretty much
Okay.
70.
All right,
70.
20% makes a big difference, I suppose. You're right.
Yes.
Well, so environment is key for little.
I mean, for
Little
some, you know, like
mushrooms.
lion's mane is super picky. That one is, for me, as soon as she gets a little brown, she starts to get a little shriveled, she gets a little angry at me. I got to go in there and spray her all the time. But the oyster mushrooms were like, I don't care. Those were the ones I gave to my friend, and they just grew no matter what. So you are going to have some ones that are a little bit pickier with that. But it could be the difference too. Like, you know, your oyster mushroom has gills underneath, and on your lion's mane, they have what's called its teeth. So they get that shaggy kind of snowball look to them. But that's what's so cool, you know, again, about mushrooms. There's even different types of gills and different ways,
See,
you know,
that's
that they
I don't like that they're like naming parts of mushrooms that are share names with the parts of animals too, because mushrooms are like they kind of bridge the gap between like plants and animals.
They
They're in
do.
this weird like nebulous zone of like, I don't know, is it alive? Is it not? Is it an animal? I mean, really, it's in this weird realm of kind of in between. And to call, like, to say like the mushroom has teeth, no, that weirds me out now, because now, you know, I don't want to think about a mushroom with teeth or gills, for that matter. Imagine both. It can breathe underwater and it can bite you.
Yes. Well, I mean, that's probably what's going to consume you, you know, in the afterlife anyways, or before you enter the afterlife.
Right.
So,
Fair enough.
you know,
The
it's
cycle of
all
life.
part of this. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful thing. I mean, down to the science. So I don't know. I think that's what's so cool. That's what really drove me into living soil, right? Is just like pushing myself to this point where I'm creating this bag of biology, you know? It's not just me getting the proper ECCs or pH and measuring out, like, you know, a fertilizer to feed into my plant. It was like, how can I create this living being in here with different bugs interacting and growing a plant out of it? And that was, to me, just my goal in life. So still my goal.
So hard
It's
to be able
It
to
is.
trust your soil to that degree. To know I have done the work, I have done the research, I have done my part. Now you do your part. That's crazy. Like, I mean, that's the direction I'm heading into, but
Yeah.
it's crazy to me to just take that leap of faith. I trust myself enough to know to trust this soil.
I think, like, you know,
For sure.
any first grow, go through the first year, and that, I'm sorry, but that I always bring shrooms to a party because I'm a fun guy. Fun jokes are like, that's like so my favorite. I love it so much.
Too good.
But yeah, what was I just talking about? So sorry.
Always a trick question.
Distracted.
Always a trick question.
BGJ.
So any time you start a new grow, you just got to go through the first year and hope what you put in there was what the plant needed. You can always do a soil test. You know, I mean, around here, I think it's like $40 or something like that. You can put everything in, cook it, go get a soil test, and amend what you think you need. You know, that's what I hope to do for the outdoor. But this first run in the grow tent, I just wanted to see, like, this is what I did. I want to observe. I want to know, what am I lacking? Because I know I'm definitely lacking some things right now, and go from there. So it's neat to see that too. See
Definitely.
how you're feeling.
Well,
Yeah.
to incorporate that into like a system of living soil just makes nothing but sense, to be quite honest. I mean, you know, like you said, you would end up with a fertilizer or a compost, a type of compost, you know, after you fruit the mushrooms, and it all works in symbiosis together in the soil. If you're growing weed, why aren't you growing mushrooms? It's kind of the question, right?
Yeah, if you like to eat, you should grow mushrooms. I mean, really, because for me, I won't lie. Like, my husband actually was like, "You're gonna grow mushrooms." He was like, "You don't really like mushrooms," and I'm just talking like the store-bought, gross, white buttons, slimy mushrooms are not my favorite. So, you know, they're not my favorite. But I'm telling you, homegrown mushrooms, like, I just chop that thing, dice it up, creamy garlic white sauce, you know, and you're grubbing down. And
Oh man,
do you have a favorite that you've grown so far?
Oh yeah, definitely the shiitakes and the penis envy. Those two were like my definite favorites. So that was, yeah, those were beautiful. That one was like a whole step of just, like, you know, kind of adding all these extra, like I was saying, like, put it in the fridge, hydrate it, give it a good old slap in, like all these extra random techniques that had to be done. It kind of just piqued my interest, you know. And then Penis Envy was my first Peaky Besson's strain that I got to grow. So that was definitely a very memorable, very, very memorable. So,
I wanted to know, did you currently use the mushrooms that you have grown medicinally? Yes. Did you microdose before you grew your own?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
and
why, I guess that's one of the reasons why I wanted to grow.
then, I mean, that obviously makes sense.
But yes, yeah, I started with I was like an albino penis envy strain and went down the rabbit hole of that, which I'm really glad I did. I cannot shout it from the rooftops loud enough. Like, if you are not microdosing, please go fucking microdose. Like, your your mental capacity is so much greater than you even know. And you have neural pathways that you have not connected in a very long time that need to be connected. And this was such a great way to feel more connected to myself and to understand a little bit more, I guess, about what I want out of life and how to react and cope with being in this life now, because this is all we have. This is where we are. And, it's not a happy pill, but I think that if you're using it in the proper way, it can be your happy pill. So,
Very well put.
please
Oh yeah,
check it out.
Yes.
But
definitely is a
Oh,
perspective shifter, if you will. Like, I mean, if you need a new perspective on things in general, find yourself a
yeah.
little bit of mushrooms from a local source, preferably your own garden.
Yes. Yes. And there really are, like, again, if you are wanting to grow your own, there's sterilized substrate, there's monotub kits that you can purchase, and you can purchase spores for microscopy only. Okay, that was a wink. That was a
Yeah.
horrible wink, but that was a wink.
It was a double
Just like
blink.
we're
I'm
all
gonna wing
selling,
at you with both eyes.
Also,
It's just like we're all
Off the top of my
selling
head.
exotic bird seed, right?
Mass Hydro actually has kits he sells too, all-in-one kits ready to rock.
That's awesome. Yeah, if he ships those out too, I definitely say take advantage of that and do it, because it's neat to grow your own. It's the most rewarding thing ever, and then to consume your own medicine again is just top notch. I mean, you just can't beat that. I mean, you guys know you're smoking your own weed. It's just
Yeah.
it's a really beautiful thing to bring that whole cycle all together in your garden and up here. So, in your mind.
Yeah. Did you watch Fantastic Fungi?
Oh, you better believe
Yeah.
I
All right.
did.
Good.
Like,
Good.
of course. Paul Stamets on a fucking tree telling himself to not stutter. Like, yeah, of course. Instantly, I was like, okay, well, if he doesn't stutter anymore, then like, what part of his brain did he hit? Right? Like, what did he hit in there? Because then I want to
Isn't
hit
that
this
crazy?
part. I want to hit the part that tells me that I can't do shit. I mean,
Yeah,
the
but
moderate level, like,
if you remember the story though, he took a hero dose.
Yeah.
So.
yes,
That's not micro. I was
yes.
gonna say, like, sometimes, I mean, yeah, microdosing is cool, but sometimes you got to take the hero dose, as they call it.
Yes, and a hero dose might be something I eventually do. I have a hard time like losing control, so that's why I went towards the microdose route. I mean, don't get me wrong, I probably did a hero dose when I was in my 20s, and I had a
Yeah.
hell of a time, but it was not for healing. Okay, that was for a hell of a time.
Yeah.
So there was no intention set within other than having a good time. So
Yeah.
this time around, when I'm doing mushrooms, if anybody does mushrooms, if it's a micro or macro, like you're hitting some part of your brain in there. Like you need to tell yourself to be doing something good, like even before today for this show, I was like, okay, I'm going to be chill. I'm going to not be as anxious, give myself grace. That's kind of like one of my things I've been doing this week because I've been taking a lot on. And, I feel like it's working in my brain. I don't feel like I'm going to get off the show and be like, wow, what were you talking about?
No.
Well, at least right now, anyways. But,
Not at
Your
all.
perfection.
Not at all. It's making nothing but sense, to be honest. I'm thinking to myself, why haven't I started doing this yet?
Yeah. You should start with us.
Seriously,
Are we doing a
please.
mushroom grow together?
So I
Please.
ordered the monotub kit from North Spore, and I got it this past week. I used mom's code, so it got me some money off, and they sent it out. The monotub kit that I got comes with the monotub itself, all of the filters for the sides, an inoculation bag that's already sterilized, ready to go, has the port and everything. You just have to inoculate it. Comes with 2 or 3 boxes, I think, of like the substrate, and then a bag of cocoa coir and something else. But it's everything you need to grow from start to finish in a monotub. All you need are the spores. Spawn. What's the difference between spores and spawn? Is there?
So your spores are going to be just that. They're going to be spores in like a water or some type of a solution. So that would be like a seed, essentially. A spawn is going to be your actual like mycelium. So you have liquid cultures, you have your agar plates, and then you have the grain spawn. So grain spawn is just nice because it's fully colonized with mycelium. It's very strong. It is ready to add to your bulk substrate. So essentially, you're going to buy spores, inject your little grain bag, put that in a dark space that's nice and warm, and that's going to colonize. Then you're going to add that to your bulk substrate. Again, put that in a dark place, let that colonize, and introduce some light. And then you're going to get some mushrooms. And so it's pretty neat. So again, having those pieces that are already sterilized are really nice. You don't have to have a pressure cooker. You didn't have to soak and simmer the grain.
I just like the phrase laminar flow hood.
Oh, I am like saving my money. I'm getting my mushroom farm. It's happening, and I'm getting my supplies for my mushroom farm. So
wow.
Yes, I want a mushroom farm, like really, really bad. I want to grow gourmet and medicinal mushrooms. I also would eventually like to put forth a license to the state of Oregon to grow psilocybin mushrooms. So that is my ultimate goal. I really want to be able to.
Is that not a new thing now? Can you do that out there?
Yes, but I fortunately do not have a money tree that gives me $10,000 for that licensure.
Oh wow! Of course,
so,
of course,
$10,000.
Of course, it's a crazy bureaucratic process involving lots of red tape and what a shame. So,
one day, but it will be something that I hope to have in the near future. So that'll be something that has already been in the works. It's in here. I got layouts, I got drawings. So I got a friend who wants to help me. Just the money, thing. So.
Listen, that's the first step to making any plan happen is writing it down. You'll make it happen. I can tell by the way you're talking about it. It'll come to fruition.
Yeah, right.
No pun intended.
Keep it coming. Keep the puns coming. Keep them.
Yep.
I love it. Yeah. Then it'll start releasing spores all over, and I don't know. Continue the analogy. But the idea releases spores everywhere. That's how other people get the idea in their head. It's like
confetti. Spores just releasing everywhere.
That's what just happened. Everyone out there in podcast land just got your spores all over them.
You're welcome.
Your
love for really
the mushrooms
crazy.
just kind of like
you're welcome. I love that.
Got everywhere. But no, seriously, I think we should do a mushroom grow together, and that'd be fun. Go follow Mama Q. Can you tell the audience where we can find you?
Oh man. Okay. So Instagram would be at MamaWannaQ. That's MAMAJUANAQ, just in case. And there is another, I have a backup that tends to pop up before this one because good old Zuckerberg likes the shadow ban. So
that means you're doing it right. That means you're doing it right.
I noticed that as well when I tagged you earlier in the promo vid that your backup comes up before. You have to type your full name in to get it to come up.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm going to delete that.
Keep going. But
I know.
You've been a naughty girl, B.
It means you're doing it.
You're on the naughty list.
All the time. I wouldn't want to be on the good list. I mean, that's boring. So
exactly.
Well, that means too many people
No fun.
that shouldn't see my profile are seeing my profile. So yeah,
It's all those
you find me, yeah,
all those
we don't
rule
like rules.
followers, man. They're lame.
They can go
Totally
away.
lame. But
Don't be a square. Go follow Mama Wanna Q.
yeah, exactly. And now you guys, I don't know if people have, you should know by now that you guys do a show together. And
We
that's
do.
tomorrow morning.
We're 2 out of 3.
Oh yeah, I know.
Oh, here we go. Wait a
Another one
second.
of our beloved guests.
There we go. Now we're
Barely
3 out of
growing.
3.
Yeah,
We love
baby.
BG. That's your trifecta.
Yep. My girl.
Girls on the
I love
Grow, correct?
Girls on the
Mhm.
go.
Yeah, and that's an Instagram based show, right?
It is.
Mhm.
We are live Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern. And that's 7 a.m. Pacific. I always have to count backwards. Tomorrow morning, if you guys are around, we have our good friend Samantha Sensi, who talked all to us about all of her stuff. She's coming on specifically to talk to us about being a woman in the industry and how she's had to deal with being in a very male-focused field and how that's changed over the years and, the good things and the bad things she's seen from that angle. So, if you are interested in her previous information, go listen to our show with her, and she tells you all about her amazing commercial facility. So we're going to talk to her tomorrow morning.
Hell yeah.
Sweet.
Come hang out with us.
Yeah.
Wait, 10 or
I'm so
10:30?
excited.
10 Eastern Standard Time
10
on Instagram
Eastern.
at Girls on the Grow. All one word.
on
Cool. And yeah, go follow Mama Q. And yeah,
Girls on the Grow.
Thank you for coming on. This has been awesome. I mean, truly, I can tell how much you want. Like you're just like, come on, people, like get on board with this. Like this is awesome, and you should be doing it too. And I feel that like it's infectious,
Can you? Yeah. I'm like, I feel like I've just been smiling this whole time.
Yeah, you have.
Totally her, and I just love to share that because I think it's just. It makes sense to me, I guess that's why. And so I just want to shove it down people's throats essentially until people are like, please stop. I don't want to hear about it anymore. And so that's just definitely my personality.
Just
and
doing a little evangelizing. We'll just call you the Mushroom Mormon. All right. Mushroom Mormon Mama.
Mushroom Mormon Mama. I like the Mushroom Mama part for sure.
I'm just playing the Mushroom Mama.
The marvelous Mushroom Mama. The magical
Mama.
Mushroom Mama.
Her Majesty.
Magical.
Her Majesty, the Mushroom Mama. There we go. That's it right there.
Show title. Boom. Well,
boom. Love it.
I'll be tuning in tomorrow 10 a.m. And again, thank you for coming on and sharing your passion for the new style of growing that, interestingly enough, coincides with what we're already doing. So
yes, if anybody has any questions, like feel free to hit me up. I will gladly talk mushrooms with anybody. I will share where I get my spores from. I'll let you in on the low. So if you guys want to know, I'll share my secrets. No gatekeeping.
Don't send mushroom pics, guys. That is not an invitation. It's not not G3 and Mama Q judging your mushrooms. No,
or meat terps.
Yeah, no. Just wait for the official announcement for that one. I'm saying that's we can monetize this baby. This is going places.
Oh my god. Oh, I can think of steak and sliced mushrooms and cooked butter and garlic right now. Like, let's do this.
Oh, hell yeah. I love mushrooms. Honestly, like cream of mushroom soup is like one of the best. If you get a good recipe, for real.
I have to make that now. All right. Add it to my list.
That's right. And yeah, well, again, you're making me hungry, so I'm
hungry too. I know, yeah, everybody's gonna go snack.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
And to everyone out there in podcast land, or I should say, to everyone out there in podcast land, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week, guys. And don't get caught.
Don't get caught.
Of all things. Above all things.
Come see us on the Discord.
Yeah, that too. Peace, guys.